Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to my channel today for our book club. We're going to be discussing American Royals by Catherine McGee. This was certainly an interesting book. I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about, but I wanted to start off with giving introductions and then saying what we rated, or like if right now what we're thinking about rating it. So I'll go first. I liked this book for the majority. Honestly, I did. I found great enjoyment in it. But then the ending just made me. I don't know. I'm like right now. I'm around like a 3.54. I did find great enjoyment, but this thing was chaos. So that's Tati.
I'm Tati. I agree with that assessment. Right now, my rating is sitting at a 3. As per usual, it might change after we do this because every time we do this, my ratings usually end up changing. Very few times have they stayed where they started. But yeah, I agree that I was enjoying the book for the most part, even though I found it a little ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But the ending was just, I don't know. It was messy. It was really messy. I also listened to the audiobook, so like I breezed through this.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah. Okay. I'm Mica. I have definitely an unpopular opinion because I think this is the worst one yet that we've read. It is a solid 1 star. I would have given it lower if I could have.
Okay. Wow, I was not expecting that.
Ooh. That hurt me.
I'm sorry.
Like a 2-star from me. I wasn't expecting a full-on 1.
Okay, well now I feel less bad because I'm giving it a 2.
Okay, yeah.
It's not a 1. So like, I don't know, it was weird. My thoughts kind of changed as it went on.
Yeah.
So, but I'm thinking of setting her a 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sammy and I, the ever optimists.
Always.
So I mean, this is funny because last live show we talked about a lot. I think our buzzword was like unhinged.
Yeah.
I think this book had truly one of the most unhinged people.
Yes.
Honestly, like I'm not like saying she's on the same level as a serial killer, but she truly, Daphne in this book is truly
unhinged. She is. I couldn't, like, I hated her from the beginning, but she got worse and worse as the book went on. She's probably one of the worst characters I've ever read, and that includes Jace Herondale.
I feel like
so there's that.
I mean, did she get worse, or was it very obvious what she did from the beginning? Because
I mean, it was kind of obvious, but like she got worse and worse as the book went on. She got more desperate, and that made her worse.
I thought yeah.
No, go.
This was like the first thing at the top of my head. I mean, we can talk about all the characters, but I wanted to start with her just because. I mean, I agree. I think her character arc was kind of predictable, but the thing that kind of upset me about her character is why do I feel like I was supposed to feel bad for her at points? Because I absolutely never did.
No.
And I'm very nervous. I don't think I'll probably read the next book. I don't think I probably will.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Go on.
But I'm just like nervous about like them trying to give her a good story.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
To me, it felt like they were trying to do like a Blair Waldorf kind of character, but just like didn't quite do it. For me, like she wasn't messy enough for me.
Yeah.
She just didn't really. I didn't have any like strong opinions. I don't think she was.
No, and you bring up Blair is really interesting because Blair is actually likable at some points.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I feel like that's what this book missed.
Blair has some redeeming qualities, where Daphne does not.
That's what I mean. That's what I think it missed because she was very like one note.
Yeah, that's my problem with all of the characters and most of the stories, that they were all basic and one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And most of the times, when it came to Samantha or Nina, the only thing they thought about was their love interests.
Yeah.
Like, they were very dimensional and very focused only on boys. And it was so frustrating.
I mean, 18, so I understand it. But, yeah, I get what you mean.
No.
I mean, I feel like for a book that was like, because like we said before we started, it was quite long, right?
Yeah.
There was plenty of time to give them depth, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, and for a book that like borders on YA and new adult because of the ages of the characters, when you're reading from Beatrice's perspective, you're like getting more new adult, but then suddenly you have Nina and Sam and it just like drops off. It's just like, y'all are supposed to be quote unquote adults, so like what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Speaking of the like new adult thing, did it bother anyone else just like the amount of time spent in this book of being like, okay, but I'm a virgin, we didn't actually do anything? The only one
so sex negative. It was so sex negative.
The only one who does have sex is the villain character.
Yeah, and she regrets it immediately.
Exactly. Both times she regrets it immediately. The time that happens off page and the one that happens on page. She regrets both of them. This book was, I do agree, it was very sex negative and I hated it.
Now?
Not in the sense of like saying that being a virgin is a bad thing. That's not it. It's just that they were all so focused on like having to be pure and all that bullshit. It's just, it's so stupid and I hate it.
I actually can't get over. Okay, look, I read this super quickly. It's majority why, like, I'm like not like I didn't have to spend a lot of time on it, so I enjoyed just the ride of it. I didn't think too much about anything. There were a few things I took a ton of notes on this just because it was crazy. But Skylar, you saying Gossip Girl is actually really disturbing me right now because this is actually. I mean, if we're doing I'm already blanking on their names. Daphne,
Samantha, Nina, and Beatrice.
And Nina, then isn't it Blair being Daphne?
Yeah.
Chase Crawford, what's his name in the show?
Nate. Yeah.
Nate being Jefferson, and then the random poor girl that I always forget her name.
Vanessa.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then Ethan is Chuck.
Yeah.
Actually, like disturbed, like.
Except that Ethan, I found Ethan more redeemable than Chuck at some point.
Yeah.
But then you think
actually
about Daphne and Ethan and like the Chuck and Blair thing.
Yeah.
And how, like Blair lost her virginity to Chuck, and it was like a whole bad thing.
Yeah. And also, then that would mean that Beatrice is Serena, and then Connor is Dan, except that Connor is way better than Dan because Dan is a piece of shit.
But it's still the like rich poor dynamic.
Yeah, but it's still the rich poor dynamic, except that Dan is a piece of shit.
Okay, so this book is just Gossip Girl.
That's the thing. When you read the reviews, most of them do the parallel between Ethan, Chuck, and Blair and Daphne. Yes,
makes sense.
Also, it's in the summary thing that it says it's supposed to be Gossip Girl.
Here,
I mean, it doesn't say.
I didn't read the summary.
I mean, it doesn't say it has to be Gossip Girl. It says it's inspired. And that's another problem that I have with this book, is that it's also heavily inspired by Gossip Girl and The Crown. Like, she watched The Crown before this because there's a line she stole from The Crown. And not history, The Crown. Because I looked it up, and it's not from history. It's from The Crown.
What's the line?
It's the line when Beatrice is talking to her father, and he tells her, there's two Beatrice, The Crown and you, and they're gonna disagree, and one of them has to always win, and that's The Crown. That's a line by line from The Crown.
She shamelessly like ripped things.
Yeah. I thought it was the whole, because I saw your tweet about The Crown, and I thought it was the whole thing about like what happens when something pushes against something. I don't even remember properly.
Well,
it
also,
was a lot
her
in that
dad,
scene, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
I mean, her dad has lung cancer too, so I'm just saying. She wasn't very creative about it.
Wow. Yeah, no, I saw the dad's illness coming from like a mile away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is where we're going, and I don't like it.
The audiobook had every time he talked, he was panting.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody.
Oh no!
Like every time he talked, it was like, yeah, Beatrice.
Yeah, it was just like, and like Sam, because Sam, it is true, she is pretty observant, and like every time Sam commented on how terrible her dad looked, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is where we're going. We're going cancer, like we're going sickness, and I was like, it's either gonna be cancer or cancer, because what's the other thing that kills you slowly?
It's always cancer.
Always cancer.
Yeah.
After last month's book that has so much cancer involved, that was just like
Literally, when it came up, I was like, oh my god, again?
Yeah.
Really, truly, it was just, it was predictable. This book was predictable.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like literally from from Beatrice's first chapter, I was like, I'm getting bodyguard romance. Okay, cool.
For sure. When they named the bodyguard in the first chapter,
He has a name.
Even if you didn't pick it up right there, like once she starts like seeing the guy, like at the ball, seeing the guys, her frame of reference for comparing these guys is Connor.
Yeah.
Really, when she talks about Teddy, like that conversation that she had with Teddy, she's like, "Oh, he's not as tall as Connor." And I was like, "Yeah, no, that sealed the deal for me." I was just like, "Okay, this is where we're going." Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Who should we talk about first? I don't even know. Like these people, they're like they're definitely super one-dimensional.
Yeah.
I think behind Daphne, I will defend Sam. I will. If we all hate her, it's fine. I understand.
Because you share a name with her, so that's why you're defending her,
Yeah.
right?
But also,
There's a connection.
But also at the end, and I think they focused a lot on how Sam was a bad friend to Nina. But at the end, Nina not showing up at the hospital.
Yeah. Because you don't want to face Daphne. That's like shitty.
I
think your feelings are hurt, but your friend needs you right now.
Yeah,
I know. Like, is she gonna kill you?
Like, and honestly, like, yes, I get that they just broke up, but also Jefferson probably needs you as a friend right now as well.
Yeah, and like you've known them since you were a child. Come on.
Exactly. Like your friends, and like what gets her to go to the hospital eventually is that like her remember that Jefferson saying that she's a part of their family. So like, dude, your family needs you right now.
Like, come on.
Like, put your big girl pants on and like go deal, because that's life as an adult. You got to deal.
That would make me upset too. And then I didn't love how, like, if we'll talk relationships, I think we can start with Nina and Jefferson. I hated how quickly Jefferson trusted, like, went back. Like, it didn't make sense to me that he would believe, like, Daphne or Nina so quickly. And
that made a lot of sense to me.
Really? I mean, the thing that I think the thing that surprised me about this book was I felt like, for the most part, the characters weren't, like, super, like, there was many times I thought there would be, like, miscommunication, and it kind of, they usually worked it out fairly well, but then at the end, and I feel like they needed Daphne to stay around for another book, they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna have Jefferson like her still.
Yeah, that actually made a lot of sense to me, because going back to an ex is like one of the easiest things you can do, because you already know, and especially when like out of a relationship that lasted so long, because like you know them no matter what shitty things they've done or what reasons you have for breaking up with them. So that actually made a lot of sense to me, and also it's commonly used in books that like the dude believes the old girlfriend over the new girlfriend. So honestly, I believed it. I not the believing it. It's just like I I saw it and I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, it does make sense that he believes her over Nina. I mean, kind of, because Nina has been his friend for a long time, but whatever. He doesn't want to think badly of his ex-girlfriend, so he believes her. I understand that. I would understand going back to her so quickly, but I mean, his father just died, and I guess he's like feeling bad and shitty, so I mean, it kind of makes sense.
I think it was just the fact that he kind
like it.
The fact that he kind of just did it without question was the bit that I was like, really? Like, that was what I didn't understand about it. He didn't question it in the slightest. He was like, bye, Nina. See ya.
Yeah. I was like, that's a pretty elaborate story for someone you've known your whole life.
Yeah.
Like, you've known her since she was 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
Your whole life, you're just going to be like, oh, yeah, my girlfriend that I don't really know anything about. My ex-girlfriend that I don't really know anything about. Like, that clearly has an obsession with me. Didn't probably just do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But also, it is like established throughout the book that Jefferson like doesn't think too deeply about Daphne. He's just like, she's pretty, so like, fuck it. So like, he's a dumb 18-year-old boy, so makes sense to me.
He just doesn't think.
He doesn't use his brain at all.
Yeah.
Literally, really hope for that America that nothing happens to Beatrice or Sam, because if they're stuck with him as their king, they're fucked. They're so fucked.
Also, I'm like, he doesn't know anything about his best friend either. Like, Ethan is just there and he doesn't know anything about him.
No.
Like, what?
Well, we don't know anything about him either. I don't know where he's
we see him like 3 times.
Literally, we learned
He's
that his
supposed
mom
to be
is
like his best friend.
Yeah, and we learned that his mom is a school teacher, and that's about it.
I don't remember that.
I literally didn't know that. I'm not even kidding.
He said at one point that his mom is a school teacher, and that's it.
Well, went right over my head.
It's like the way they met too, because like his father wanted him to have a commoner friend, and suddenly, boom, Ethan, and it's like, what?
Yeah. No, and
So
it's like
bad.
I picked up on it because I don't remember. I think it might have been from Nina's perspective that we got that information, and I found it interesting because like Nina and Ethan are both commoners, but between them, even Ethan ranks lower than she does because her mom at least works with the crown. So
we can talk about the fact that there's this plot.
We should talk about that, honestly. We should, because that is just like wild.
Yeah.
Like the U.S. would not hold the power it does today if it was monarchy.
The things I read in this book, and she wants me to believe that if there were monarchies all over the planet, because in her perspective, if the United States hadn't been independent and hadn't had a president, no other country would have get rid of their monarchy.
I understand that perspective because the U.S. has very much interceded in many places.
I mean,
to
yes, and like you're telling me
democracy.
The French Revolution would just have stopped.
Oh yeah, no, that. But like, remember that the U.S. has been very militaristic about democracy.
I mean, yes, but not from the beginning. And also, like, would you just tell me, the French Revolution stopped because this happened, and also will you tell me that the monarchies, everyone would accept them, and there wouldn't be civil unrest?
Yeah.
Because in the book, there's only civil unrest when Nina is, revealed to be Jefferson's girlfriend. Everyone will be, monarchy.
And also, like, the fact that the book completely skips over the fact that the United States, that there was no civil war in this timeline.
There wasn't.
In the United States. It was just like slavery was a thing one day, and then 2 generations later, it wasn't.
This was gone.
No, I love that part. It was like slavery was horrible. Well, that's over. Enough activism for today. And that was it.
Literally,
why even mention it?
Skips over the slavery for the most part. It's mentioned once.
And
bring it up.
I feel like the author was trying to avoid the controversy.
Yeah.
Instead, just brought it to the forefront.
Made it worse.
If you're going to have a white monarchy, you're going to have to address it at some point.
Yeah, also, there is like the king suddenly has all the power, and really, like, that's no one will care about that.
Yeah, it's so sus.
No. Also, at some
But there's
point,
somehow still a Congress.
yeah, I don't understand that. Why is there a Congress if the king? And where did it come from? I don't get it.
How did we get to Congress?
And then the nobles are actually doing nothing. They're not part of like the government or whatever. They're just there. But there's the Congress. Why didn't she explain it better?
Yeah, no, it was like, reading it from a person who lives in a United States colony. It was just like, this makes no sense. There's all kinds of whack. And also, what about the U.S. colonies? Like, how's that figure into what you're like, trying to go for?
Because Nina is supposed to be Latina, which is not really shown in the whole book. It's just a cop-out to say, I have a pop character.
Yeah.
Because the only thing is her last name, and she mentions once that she speaks Spanish. That was horrible.
Exactly. And then how is she Latina? Where does she come? Like, where are her ancestors from?
What happened to Latin America? What happened there?
Yeah.
I don't get it. And also, Samantha, at one point, which is super weird because you all think they're white, is described to have tan brown skin. What the fuck? Like, suddenly she threw that there and it made no sense and then never talked about it again. Like,
missed that entirely.
We literally used the words brown skin. Like, come
this girl is white.
Yeah,
it's just white.
Yes. And here's the thing: if they are, it's mentioned throughout that they are descendants of George Washington, who was white, and they have intermarried with other European royalty. Yeah. It's specified that it's European royalty. So again, we can assume very white.
Yes.
So
yeah, but she has brown skin. I don't get it. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And it's mentioned once in passing and never again.
Yeah.
I made a note of it.
There's a lot of things that like this author like wants to gloss over, and like if you are writing an alternate universe in which the United States is it's monarchy, there are things you need to address.
It's like the kind of thing that's like you don't really think about it, but then like once you pick out one thing, it all kind of just unravels, and you're just like.
The first chapter was terrible. It tortured me. The first chapter, it was so cringy.
There was a line in the first chapter that was like, "The spirit of America compelled her," and I was like, "Oh my god, no, no." Even for that, I was just like, "No, I will not. I refuse."
I seriously think because this author watched The Crown, loved the vibes, decided to write a book, but wants to do it American because she's American and loves America, and didn't want to make it, historical fiction because she wanted to be able to use the internet and social media and the press and come up with this bullshit.
Yeah, and I have other questions about just like U.S. like American monarchy in general. Like, what's the actual name of the country? Because it's definitely not the United States of America.
I don't
what
know.
flag are we working with here?
Are there states?
No,
yeah, there are states because the noblemen were from states.
The nobles were like
I don't
something
know.
of Texas or states or whatever.
And then they were like 13, but like I don't know. I'm not quite sure. It's just there were a lot of things that she really needed to think through, like geopolitically, before she wrote this book that she did not think about.
For a book of the monarchy, there's no politics explained at all.
Literally.
Yeah. And
also,
complicated.
And like not to bring up our favorite book, but
here we go.
Wait, where is it?
Wait.
Oh, the way.
Not to bring up our favorite book, but this is written by an American author, and it does feature the son of the President of the United States and the Prince of England, and this deals more with the monarchy than like the book we just read actually did.
Yeah.
And like this isn't told from the perspective of the prince. Yet this deals more with the monarchy and like actually acknowledges things that the monarchy has done in England more
That's
than
what I was gonna say, right? Because remember
we just read.
We've had conversations before about people having complaints about red, white, and royal blue and being like, oh, you know, like glamorizes the royal family and things. But I feel like that, like red, white, and royal blue talks about the issues more and annoyed me a whole lot less than this book did, because this book was like, oh my god, monarchy is so good, guys. It's just the best.
Henry and Alex spend most of the book trashing the monarchy. It's actually a problem that arises when their emails are leaked, that like people are like, oh my god, Prince Henry's talking so badly about the monarchy.
Yeah.
So yeah, this deals more with politics than like the actual book we just read did.
What disturbed me about how, honestly, like the way there was you didn't know anything about what was going on in this world except for the fact that somehow they lived, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with like Virginia, like geography, because their home is like Mount Vernon, which is George Washington's old house. This is like in Virginia, but then and it's on the Potomac River or whatever. But then they talk about this city which doesn't exist, like Washington something.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. She like made up random cities to like go.
I was having a hard time with that because I know DC from the one time I visited.
It's not near DC at all.
It's not DC, and I don't actually know where Mount Vernon.
Yeah,
I don't think I knew it was a real place.
He made up all this other stuff. Because what's confusing is like she talks about this big city. Mount Vernon's in like the middle of nowhere. Like,
okay,
it's not like a metropolitan area. So like when they're talking about going to Wawa and shit, I'm like, where are you?
Also, I know that Wawa is not like a thing that's in DC, right?
They do have them. They do.
Oh, you do? Okay, you do. Okay, cool. Because I was like, I know it's a New Jersey thing, but I wasn't sure if it went down south.
It doesn't.
But also, again, my knowledge of the United States is very limited, even though I lived there for 3 years.
It's very confusing to me. But also, what was I going to say? What was disturbing to me was that Beatrice was like, why do you like listen to the complaints of the people? Why don't you just like embrace the past? I was like, girl.
She was like, why do you read the book?
Yeah, no, that was Sam. That was Sam. And I was just like, girl, because like you need to, because that's how any good person knows how they're fucking up.
Yeah, that was questionable.
Because you're not autocrats.
Yeah, I have two more things about this situation. It's definitely an autocracy. I'm sorry. Like the whole world is ruled by them at this point in this book.
Yeah.
My first thing is, how in the world does she think that the United States would, believably go from escaping a monarchy to establishing one of their own? That makes no sense. It makes no sense.
It literally makes no
super
sense.
Stupid.
It's like you don't know why the Pilgrims were fleeing the England in the first place.
Why did they make, and I think this was brushed over, and I once again, I was listening to this very quickly. They talk something about, I think you said about the French monarchy. They talked about how there was still Louis the whatevers.
Yeah.
They killed Louis the 16th in this.
Yeah.
No, because the French Revolution didn't happen because it magically fixed itself because the United States didn't get a president. It makes no sense. That's the thing. We stopped the French Revolution.
France has had like 5 revolutions. Like the French love a good revolution.
They would have killed him anyways.
Revolutions didn't happen either.
No one was decapitated. Nothing?
No.
Apparently not.
Nothing happened. Greece, the same thing. They mentioned the French and the Greeks to still have monarchy. So the revolution there didn't happen either. They didn't, like civil unrest just disappeared.
Denmark does still have a monarchy.
Denmark has.
Her ex-boyfriend was like a Greek guy, right? Like a prince of Greece.
Yeah,
Who?
but he.
Beatrice's ex-boyfriend.
Oh, the one guy that she went on like 2 days.
Yeah, Nicholas. Yeah, that guy. And my other thing, and here comes, I didn't make a presentation, but I'm just going to tell you. The history of democracy. The United States didn't invent democracy. Do you know that?
Yes,
like,
it was
if you went to one history class in your whole life, you would know that democracy technically started in Athens, ancient Greece. So the idea that they were the first ones to vote someone to go and lead them was so fucking stupid.
Yeah,
like,
this book just screams America
Really?
invents everything.
Like, no. And also, yes, technically, the United States now in our world is the longest standing democracy. But it's a technicality because you can count ancient Greece because they're not still here.
Yeah.
And the rest, you can count them for many reasons. Apparently, Iceland was the first actually democracy, but they were still a colony of Denmark, so you couldn't actually count them. And then there was the Isle of Man, but it was just an isle. It wasn't a country, so you can't count them either. Technically, it would be New Zealand because it was the first country where everyone could vote and, women and whatever, and not the United States. But then you have also to take account for it. The United States got the idea of democracy from their Native Americans who elected chiefs. And also, the Aztecs did it too. They didn't, it wasn't a chief, but it was a speaker. So, no, the United States didn't invent democracy. Shut up.
Yeah. Excellent.
Round of applause for Mica.
Thank you. No, yeah, I honestly, what I struggled with this book is that, like, the United States is a wildly militaristic country that has gone into many places to put in democracy. And the United States has a sordid fucking history. And the fact that this author is just like hand waving it away it kind of stings. And there's
also
a lot
that one line when she's finally talking to her dad about marrying a commoner, and the king says, well, the founding fathers that I do not understand how they fit in the story, they never do anything without a good reason. They're so wise. They never did anything wrong. What?
Where did the Declaration of Independence exist?
Yeah, why do they have a constitution?
The founding fathers wrote a constitution, the Constitution of America.
Okay.
Yeah, but why?
And then she's like reading it, and she's like, "Oh, she made a mental note to herself to substitute king for sovereign."
Yeah. Yeah, but why? Why? How do they fit into the monarchy? It doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I don't like. That's the thing. There's a lot of things in this book that like just do not make any sense at all. It was just like the author was like, "No, America's a monarchy now, and I'm just gonna run with it." And not acknowledge any of the things that like are really fucked up about America.
Like, why couldn't she just make the monarchy? Like, if she's gonna make up this world, why couldn't America be a monarchy from the beginning? Like, never be under English, whatever. Like just be the monarchy.
Honestly,
whatever.
If she wanted to like sell this monarchy thing, I would have, if I were her. I would have killed George Washington somewhere before the revolution, in the War of Independence, and just like made an actual monarchy sympathizer king.
I think
his whole thing that he was not a monarchy sympathizer.
Yeah, I think she just wanted to include things as like American history Easter eggs.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, and like I'm sure that in American history there are monarchy. What wasn't Alexander Hamilton a monarchy sympathizer? So why not just pick him?
Sammy has something to say.
Go ahead. I don't know shit about American history, so like,
I cannot fathom. So when I first started reading this, one of my fun facts, they introduced Theodore, Teddy, right? And when she was like, oh, did they name you after Teddy Bear? I was like, okay, no. Because Teddy Bear came from Theodore Roosevelt, who was president.
Yes.
And I was like, what the fuck? And then later on, she went out of her way to explain it and how there was actually a Theodore Washington. I was like, why? Why?
Too much.
She wanted teddy bears to still exist, so she had to make it work.
Of all the details to include teddy bears.
Yeah. Her whole thing was she wanted to like make it recognizable to Americans.
She spent more time explaining teddy bears than she did slavery.
That's true. And like she definitely still wanted it to be like American, like the American exceptionalism or the best type of thing that America's known for, without actually doing the work of like trying to make America exceptional. Because if you're still a monarchy, you're still everybody else. But there needed to be like that little seed of American exceptionalism that she just like wanted to throw in there.
It's just the more you look at it, the less it makes sense.
Yeah, it's literally like Skylar said earlier, pull a thread and it unravels.
And we have fully unraveled this.
Honestly.
Also, there's
talking about the actual monarchy aspect of this book than the characters of this book.
Yeah, there's a line where Teddy tells Beatrice when they first meet, imagine if, I don't know, you could vote for your leader. And also, that made me, it just,
voting just didn't exist before America. Nobody else has ever voted on anything.
Never voted anything.
No.
Ever.
They does not vote in everything that they do.
I don't know. And
she was like, voting for people?
That's only for judges and Congress people. And I'm like,
you're like, and how you're like the only people you have there.
Like, I don't.
This whole book was a roller coaster. And like that's really the American, like the geopolitical aspect of this book that is not touched on at all.
It's just so funny to me, right? Because I knew reading this that a lot of it didn't make sense. But I don't know much about American history, and like this past like 20 minutes has just solidified it for me. Like, Jesus Christ, I didn't think it ran this deep.
I mean, me neither, but I went on a deep dive and researched this because it didn't make sense to me, and I needed it to make sense.
We're reading this at a point where like shit's blowing up around the world in a literal sense, and like there's been a lot of discourse about how the U.S. has like aided that along. So, so it was just like in the back of my mind, and again, I live in a U.S. colony, so it's just like. That's always in the back of my mind anyway.
Yeah.
So, like reading this, I was just like, oh God.
Yeah. I can't stop thinking about where is my country? What is it doing? Exactly. Do we have a monarchy? Are we still a Spanish colony? What am I doing here?
Mica, I had the same thought. The moment I started this book, I was like, what's going on with my island? Especially because the Spanish-American War is mentioned to have happened. And so, quick fun fact, how the U.S. gets Puerto Rico from Spanish control is that I think they won us somehow in the Spanish-American War. So if that war happened, which Beatrice mentions that it happened because they stole, I think it was a crown jewel or something or another in the Spanish-American War, what happened to me?
They only talk about anything to relate back to like a jewelry dress.
Yeah. I was like, what happened to my island? Are we under Spanish control still, or are we under American control now? Or are we just?
I don't think she knows about the Spanish War.
Or are we just our own thing and we're still Tainos? Like, I just want to know.
I don't
Send her email, ask her.
Yeah, I don't think Catherine whatever her name is. I don't think she knows anything about Latin American history. So I think we're just floating there.
And here's the thing, she says that Nina is Latina, which is well and good, but Latina.
How did she get there?
Like, is she adopted? I don't think she's adopted because her last name is Gonzalez, so that means one of her moms is also Latina. So, like, did her parents migrate to the States? Are they from Puerto Rico? Because that would count. That 100% counts. Just like, how did you get here?
Mm-hmm. She just appeared there.
They popped into existence.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have many questions in this book.
Many questions. Many questions.
And very few answers.
Yeah. About Nina being Latina and having 2 moms.
Mm-hmm.
It was just another point for her when the press blew up about her to be, hi, she sucks. It made no further, like, it wasn't, it was just about that.
It's like she's brown, she's ugly, and her parents are gay, so she sucks.
Yeah.
She had like every diverse point was shoved into one character.
Literally, and I was just like,
it was just to make, like, just to give her hate. It was just for that. She didn't have an identity about it.
Yet, all the royal siblings are somehow straight.
Yes.
Oh,
I really thought there was going to be something.
Yeah,
Me
exactly.
too.
I was like, because like usually it's the statistics I think is 1 in 3 people or something like that. So like,
yeah,
that's a group of 3. Where's
and
the
none of
one?
them. Yeah, like for so many forbidden relationships, none of them were gay.
None of them were gay. And I was just like, I want to see that.
I thought it was funny that there was no, like, for some reason we made being poor like a commoner a bad thing, but like everyone's like cool with the 2 moms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, but homeboy is Connor is literally somebody that fights for your country, like protects the important people, but he's still lower.
Yeah, he's part of the rear guard. Yet he's still.
Why is he?
Yeah, wouldn't this
He
wouldn't it be like a knight or whatever? Like,
Yeah.
he made a whole explanation about the knights, and they were just people that did something and received a knighthood instead of making the word, because she's trying to emulate nowadays monarchy.
Yeah.
So it pisses me off, because this is why I gave it a 1 star. Books makes no sense. The focus is romance. I hate romance, and it just makes no sense.
Yeah.
Valid point, Mica. Your opinion is valid.
All around, honestly.
super valid?
Yeah.
Super valid.
No notes. They're all valid.
Also, I'm a floating rogue in the world. I don't exist. Well, that pisses me off too.
I mean, yeah. Here's the thing. In this book, very few things outside of America and Europe exist.
Mm.
Yeah.
Asia is mentioned only because the twins go on a trip there.
Yeah.
The girl that they almost killed is
Japanese.
It's Japanese.
Yeah, the two.
Do they have a mom?
Yeah. One of them is in a coma, and the other one has gone in Europe.
So yeah, like
she's an ambassador from Japan.
Yeah, exactly. So Japan is mentioned,
mm-hmm.
and like it's mentioned that the twins go on an Asian trip, a graduation trip.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, you don't really hear much from Asia or Africa or Australia or Latin America.
I mean, I'm guessing that she just left all of us as colonies, like Australia, Africa, and Latin America. They're just colonies, whatever.
All she mentions is America and then Europe.
Yeah, I don't think, like, she barely did her research for America, so I don't think she was going to do it for anywhere else.
No.
Yeah.
Said, who do you think of when you think of the beginning of America? George Washington. Perfect. Let's go with that one.
That's our king. It's just like I have like
I mean, she did know about the teddy bears, so she had to.
Like her fun fact. She was like, "Oh, I know somebody's thinking out here about Teddy Roosevelt. I'm gonna call that up for you." He said, "You caught me. You caught me."
Oh God. Just a mess, really, isn't it?
Truly a mess.
It's really, truly a mess. And like, so Beatrice is supposed to be the first queen of America, and that was handled mediocrely at best.
There was no talk of anything about the relationships. Let's be real.
Yeah. No. Literally, I was listening to the audiobook for this, and I was listening at 2 speed, so I got through it fairly quickly. And I'm about halfway through the book, and I'm fairly enjoying it because I've turned my brain off at this point, which is how I am able to enjoy things. But I was like, this is very focused on the romance aspect, which is fine. but I would like to know other things about this world that are not addressed at all.
Yeah, that's another thing that annoys me about her trying to make her, like, Beatrice being the first queen, making her it seem like a big deal, talking about like feminism, and then she makes all of her female characters only care about boys, and it's like, there's something weird here.
There's something wrong. One of these things is not like the other. And not to bring up Red, White, and Royal Blue again, although that's how I talk about it in this world. That book also doesn't paint America in the best light.
Yeah.
It's also very critical of America.
This book just doesn't talk about America at all.
No.
It doesn't. It's not. You literally live in the palace. Or whatever. This thing. You go to King's College sometimes for some advice. Where else do you go? Oh, that made up mountain place that I could not. I didn't read it, so I don't know how to spell it, but I have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, is that made up? That doesn't exist?
It doesn't exist to the best of my knowledge. I don't know why you wouldn't just say, "Oh, let's go to the Appalachian."
Aspen.
Or why aren't we going to Colorado?
I mean, considering the amount she like tried to make like connect it to our world, why make that up?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to figure out what it was called. I'm gonna try to look it up.
It started with a T. It's all I remember.
Yeah, it was something whack. It didn't make.
It was very weird.
I'll look it.
No.
They were choices.
In the book, she casually mentions that there's a Duke of I can't remember the name, but it was related to the Native Americans, and then never brought it up again.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, there was 2 dukes of Native American nations.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
And what happened there?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why they don't go out west ever.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. And like California is called Orange now, right? Is that a thing?
I thought it was like Orange County.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was Orange County.
I thought it was.
I have no idea what Orange is.
No. Why?
They have Boston. I know that.
And Texas. But like somehow it's like the Dukedom of Boston instead of Massachusetts, but Texas stays Texas.
I think they said Austin.
No, it's Texas. They literally said it was from Texas, and I was like, okay, but why is Boston and not Massachusetts then?
I don't know. I just.
Why is California orange? That makes no sense.
I don't understand that. Why change things? You didn't.
I don't understand.
You didn't do research. Do not change history. Why change the geography? Like, ugh.
Honestly, Sammy, answer a question for me. Does the front of that book have a map?
That's it.
No,
I don't think so.
Does it have a map?
It didn't on the Kindle one, so I assume not.
No, it does have a.
Yeah, but I don't give a shit about that. I give a shit about the map.
There's no map.
There's no map.
I saw that on the internet. It's
No
fine.
map.
Here, wait.
There's no
okay,
map.
I'm actually curious. I wonder if there is like something on.
If someone made a map, if someone has made a map, please send it to me because I have questions that need answers.
Yeah, like I don't get it.
Personally, I am of the vein that if your book is not set in the modern world as we know it, you should have a map.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't usually understand maps, but I appreciate them.
No, but like I'm not a very skilled map reader if I need to get anywhere. But like if I'm like, for example, with the Grisha trilogy, it has a map at the beginning of the book.
Good job.
So if they're going from one spot to another spot, I can go to the map and be like, okay, that's where they're going.
Yeah.
It's labeled. So like, oh, that's where we're going. Cool. That's my use for the map. So like, I would have liked the map right now in this situation.
Yeah. I just want to understand what the fuck is orange.
To bring up a book that we have read previously, I don't know if it's in the book. It's not in the. Oh yes, it is.
Place.
Warbreaker has a map.
Yeah, he has.
Which is very useful when you're reading the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
And wait, no, I have fucking examples now.
Why did Harvard and Yale exist too? Like, why did she just pick and choose
A
random?
Lesson in Thorns, which is a fucking smut book, also has a map.
Yeah, I had questions about that. Why does Harvard exist? I don't like why.
Oh, Telluride. Telluride.
Yeah.
Telluride. Is it?
What the hell is that?
I don't know.
I thought that was real.
Oh, it is a real place.
Oh wait, no, I'm just bringing out all the map examples today.
I'm trying to find my prettiest map, but I can't.
Okay.
Okay, Court of Silver Plains also has a map.
They all have.
This is interesting. Telluride is a former Victorian mining town in Colorado. So it doesn't actually exist. Well, it does exist, but it's not super popular. I've heard of it, but it's Victorian.
Maybe it was because it had the royalty vibe. Oh, that's very pretty map.
Yeah. There we go. That's a map. We love
Everyone loves a map. I appreciate a map.
Wait, no, I have other examples. I'm just trying to prove a point.
Me and Tati are map people, clearly.
Percy Jackson and wait, which one's this one? The Last Olympian also has a map. So you
Percy Jackson can have
in New York.
The battle because it is confusing as fuck if you've never been to New York.
Yeah, that's a perfect example because it's not it's like the modern world. It doesn't even change anything. It's just the modern world, but it gives you a map because you need it.
The book series that started all of this, that we all agree is kind of shitty, but we still read it.
I'm sure it has a map.
Clockwork Angel has a map.
Of course,
I did not know that had a map.
They all have maps.
do.
Every single series in this chronology has maps.
Yeah.
Oh.
They do.
So if she can put a map, this author can put a map.
Yeah, she could have.
Basically, I'm just advocating for more maps now.
I mean, she could have done many things in this book, and she didn't. So,
That's true.
You know.
And she could have not done many things, and she did.
She could have just not written the book. Or
Yeah, that was always an option.
She didn't. She watched The Crown and liked it too much.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been the tagline of the book.
Yeah.
It really should have.
Yeah, no, I'm just realizing now that I own a lot of books with maps. I like maps.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the last book in Penelope Douglas's Devil's Night series even has a map.
There you go.
If Penelope Douglas can have a map,
you can have a map.
Okay.
She doesn't know what the country looks like. She doesn't know. She doesn't know. Okay, that was not the focus.
Honestly, she
the budget
listened to one intro to American History podcast and ran with it.
John Green.
She listened to one Crash Course episode and then ran with it.
That was it. That was enough. Okay, maybe we should get back to the characters and stuff.
You know,
the king was the second worst character.
Absolutely, and the sucked also.
I mean, he's a king. What were you expecting? Of course, he's a piece of shit.
And then he had to croak right when he was like trying to. He was definitely going to tell her like, "Oh, be with Connor," but then
And now here's the thing. Now if I choose to listen to the second book, I'm gonna have to put up through an entire book of indecision from Beatrice of being like, do I stay with Teddy? Do I go with Connor? And that's gonna drive me up a wall.
I knew I wasn't gonna read the second book, so I actually looked up what happened.
Ooh.
All right, I need to do that.
Choices were made. That's all I'll say.
I'm debating whether to ask you to tell me right now.
Yeah, I saw something that I didn't like. About one character, but I don't know anything else.
Here's the thing. If you tell me what happens in the second book, that it might detract me. It might not. Could you tell me if Sammy's up for it?
No, I want to know. I want
to know.
Okay.
I'm not gonna read
it was just in terms of like who ends up with who. Was pretty much what I was looking at.
I read. I'll go with what I read very quickly because I saw it like a skirt and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to read. I saw that Daphne redemption.
Oh, God.
And only one of the two main couples ends up together. I don't know which one, but I think you'll probably tell.
I think Skylar's about to tell us.
from my understanding, none of them end up together.
What? So maybe that's even.
So we'll do a guessing game. Who do you think Beatrice ends up with?
She's a basic bitch, Teddy.
And does she go from the?
She goes.
I was to say, does she go from the king of Greece, whatever?
No, she for some reason, despite the fact she has absolutely no feelings for him in this book, suddenly she does in the next book. Okay,
someone dirty like this. Okay,
it's just like
she's a basic bitch. I knew she would, but like I was rooting for her to not be a basic bitch. And then
the book could have made a really good, like forbidden love between, or the book could have gone with forbidden love between Beatrice and Connor, or could have gone arranged marriage. We're gonna live happily ever after.
Yeah, but you can't do both.
But you can't do both.
Yeah, you can't do both. Pick a struggle.
Because it's a duology, and the books are not that long considering they're like multiple POVs, and like to reset up new relationships in the next book.
Too many POVs.
Yes.
I don't think that.
Samantha. Who do we think Samantha ends?
Well, she doesn't end up with Teddy, so like who the fuck did she end up with?
Well, I'll tell you, it's just a new character that we don't know. She meets someone else. Daphne.
And Jefferson, please.
Jefferson.
No.
Yes.
Okay, but who do you think Nina ends up with?
Does she end up with Ethan? Because that would be too much.
No way.
I'm pretty sure, because I was like curious and I was like looking her up, and just the reviews for the second book are all just like, what the hell is this?
They literally did not even speak to each other more than 3 lines in the entire book. And you're telling me that in another book you're gonna flip that shit over?
What I learned from the reviews as well was I think it was supposed to be a trilogy, and everyone thought it was going to be a trilogy, and then because I saw one review and it was like she'd rated it like 3 stars, and then she like edited her review and was like, I've just found out this doesn't have another book, but like it doesn't wrap up well at the end, but there's not another book. Oh, wow. So she like docked her a star. So I won't be reading.
Yeah, I won't. No, I think the Ethan thing.
If I was gonna read the next book, it was just because like I was interested to see if Beatrice and if Ashley did the right thing and ended up with Connor. But now that I know that that my suspicions that she's a basic bitch are confirmed, I don't really need to read it.
I mean, here's the thing, right? I'm going by like I read like quite a few reviews, so that's my understanding. Honestly, like, I could be wrong on some of them, but that was my general understanding because I was like, sorry, what?
Yeah. No. I wasn't going to read it anyways. But I think that the Nina and Ethan thing was like she had 2 characters left. She had to do something about it, mesh them together. Also, they're both commoners. They have something in common. And we couldn't have monarchy marrying commoners. Could we now?
No, that would be terrible.
That's or divorce. That's something European monarchies do.
Can we talk about the divorce line for a moment?
Oh, God.
Like only Europeans get divorced. I was like, wow, bro. Okay.
Yeah.
That's where you want to go with it.
You went there. Okay.
I believe in divorce, which as a child of divorce, I firmly believe in.
I was waiting for them to just like be like, oh yeah, we're gonna go visit Princess Diana. I'm like, because of course,
I would have thrown my book out the window.
No way. When the press said, "Oh, the queen will just have her killed," about Nina, please, I almost died.
What happened to Emily? I would like to know. And how do they not know what happened to Emily?
I don't know.
Wait, who was Emily?
I don't know who Emily is.
Oh, so is that random play they went to saw about the princess?
Oh yeah, Emily. Yeah.
And it was super irrelevant, but I thought it had to be relevant in some way.
And now I remember what you were talking about. Also, Skylar, have you figured out where the 1 bed trope comes from?
I have no idea.
It's Connor and Beatrice when they're stuck on that like little fucking
the snowing cabin, which is also a trope.
Yeah, it was badly done. I was excited for it at first because I was like 1 bed trope. That's great, but it was not done well.
The romance just did nothing for me, like in any of them.
None of these romances did anything for me. I was most interested in Beatrice and Connor, but even that,
I was least interested in them. like I wasn't interested in any of them. But bodyguard romance,
honestly, I was more interested in the friendship between Sam and Nina than anything else in this book.
Yeah, it doesn't give me anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
The whole and Beatrice as a character was very boring, to be honest.
I wish
it was
Beatrice
very
had
bland.
friends.
Yeah, she could have a friend.
Girl needs some friends.
She wasn't even friends with her sister. Like,
yeah.
For reasons that were not very.
Bodyguard is her only friend is kind of sad.
Yeah,
It's super sad.
It's so sad.
And also, all of the tropes
I'm a social nerd, and even I have friends. Moved by the fact that I'm talking to the three of you.
All the tropes she tried to give Beatrice and Connor, like they were friends to enemies first. The enemies to lovers, enemies to friends to lovers. Then there were the bodyguard thing. Then the one bed trope. Then the Snowden trope, and like then a love triangle, and then she leaves him.
Pick a struggle.
Like, he's under.
She needs to pick a struggle. This entire book is proof that she needs to pick a struggle.
Do you think with
better.
the second book
That's
and like how like it just doesn't end the way any of us thought it would, as far as I know? Do you think she got criticism for it being predictable and then just went fine off the rails in the second book?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because like, why would you set up for relationship?
I'd have to read it. I'd have to read it in order to actually give you an answer to that question. And from the information that you have granted me, that is not something that's going to happen.
Some masochistic part of me wants to do it just so I can like tell you everything.
If you want, I'll sacrifice myself and read and listen to the audiobook and tell you what happens.
If you want to do that, I'm not going to say no. It means I don't have to read it.
Or Sammy, do you have the sequel there?
No. Well, I just like don't understand because it sounds like torture. Like if the only thing that got me through this was like I felt like the different settings and parties were like kind of like I looked forward to them and I look forward to the antics that happen there. But without the relationships, I feel like I would just be in it's just like torture.
Yeah. Like I mean, like I said, I could be wrong, but
this
how the book felt for me.
This book suffers from having too many POVs happening at the same time.
Way too many. She could have split this up into books, like Beatrice and Sam's story in one side, and then Nina, Daphne, and Jefferson on the other.
And even then, I wouldn't have done that. I think Sam and Beatrice were definitely the people that she should have been focusing on, because then, yes, you can do a romance thing, but also you can do a story about sisters.
Yeah.
And how two sisters with literally the pressure of the world on them who have drifted apart can come back together.
I mean, that would be the crown, literally. Like, that's what the crown focuses on.
Yes.
Like, she would have ripped it off completely.
Yeah, I think throwing in, like, Nina and Daphne's POV was too much. Because also you could have still done that that aspect of the story from Sam's POV. And like had a moment where Sam goes to Beatrice to like, my life is falling apart. My brother is dating my best friend. What the fuck do I do now? But it would have been much more
we also could have just done it without Daphne's POV. Like kept Nina and just not have Daphne. Yeah, it would be the same. And it would have more intrigue.
Yeah.
You're telling me Daphne gets to stay with Jefferson after drugging and almost killing her friend? Is she not going to wake up?
I actually don't know about that because I was looking at reviews again just to see what somebody said, and I remember there being one thing with the Daphne Jefferson thing, and he just like never finds out what she did to Nina, like never finds out that was actually like the truth, which a lot of people were not happy with because then he's like with her, they have their like happily ever after or whatever, but he just doesn't know that he actually did that.
He never finds out that Nina was telling the truth.
Yeah, I mean the only character I would be mildly interested in to like read about would be Ethan actually. So like I don't know, like this is not it.
And then like Ethan and Daphne are like Nina's chill with her.
It's odd. It's really odd.
Ethan is clearly in love with Daphne. Yeah. And he like very much likes that she is like a psycho.
Yeah. Like they were perfect together.
How is that gonna work with like sweet, like innocent Nina?
it's just not going to work. And also, like why couldn't just like if she gives Daphne a redemption, which is shitty. Like what she should have been doing to redeem Daphne is make her care less about her status. Like just make her fall in love with Ethan, grow on her like
which was already
grow.
happening. Which was already happening. She was already falling for
Instead,
Ethan.
she just I don't know what she did, but it certainly wasn't good. I'm sure.
Here's the thing: I wouldn't even give Daphne a redemption arc. She's already a terrible person. Double down on it, because like shitty people don't suddenly turn less shitty with time.
They don't.
I'm reading.
And like commit to it.
I'm like reading this review, and it's like, this is about the second book. I began to understand how complicated Daphne was. It was very Regency era for her parents to push her onto the prince, but she also used it to her advantage. She made bad choices, but she was under an incredible amount of pressure.
No. You don't accidentally kill someone, drug them, and kill someone just because you have pressure on yourself. Like you could just not do that, you know?
Oh, Sam's new love interest is a black character. And apparently, there's like a bit. It says there's also a bit at the end where Beatrice applauds Sam for being so inspirational to her people and stressing that it's nice that she's dated Marshall because it would be nice for their family to represent the nation.
Man, no, she did not do that.
Token Black Royal, everybody.
Ay, Dios mío, ¿por qué?
Meghan Markle, who?
Once again, we're acknowledging the race issues, but like we're
but really not talking about them.
We're totally
because your royalty is great and never done wrong ever. Neither did the founding fathers. Like that's a thing that she explicitly says in the book. And they're perfect.
I cannot with any of this. I know what I'm going to be doing this afternoon, which is reading reviews of the second book.
Yeah, it's a fun time. It's fun.
After I write mine. For this.
Yeah, I think I should just write a review where it's the history of democracy and just leave it there.
Reads, yes.
Just for everyone to see. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is already
just drained after this.
I mean, I can lower it. It's already a 1.
Oh, no, my rating's definitely going down.
Yeah.
To be honest, you shouldn't ever rate a book without talking to me first, because I always have something to say.
That is true.
No, she's definitely going down to a 2.
Yeah.
She was already kind of there. I think, honestly, here's the thing. So I've mentioned that I use the Copile system to rate the books. She was already at a 2. The thing that saved it from a 2 was my enjoyment level.
Like entertainment value.
Entertainment, exactly. Entertainment level. But now that I've had time to think about, and that's not that entertainment wise, I was still mildly entertained, so that can stay as it was. But definitely we are reviewing the rating.
Yeah.
Because
the only thing I have a complaint about
is
the Samantha storyline. Because, come on, she made out with Teddy once in a closet and suddenly he's the love of her life. And she's ready to, like, kill her sister over it. What?
Also, can we talk about the fact that, like, Sam is very much jealous of her sister. And Beatrice, for one moment, actually does consider, hey, what if I just abdicate? And Sam becomes queen. I was just like, that can either be great or terrible. But you should do it either way, because I want to see the chaos that will come from that.
No way. Did you get this father proves my point that she watched The Crown, because she mentions, the king that abdicated in England and was sent to France.
Yeah.
I saw what you did there. You studied where you didn't study. You watched The Crown
and took notes.
Learned about English history, and then didn't try to learn about America's history to write this book. But you didn't
you watched the first episode of Crash Course, and that was it.
I don't know what to say about that.
Honestly, we're all just baffled by this book.
Yes.
I think that's a good way of putting it. We're all just baffled.
I can't. I read.
I think I had more fun
40%.
dissecting it than I did reading it.
Yeah, I read like 40% physically. So when I was reading physically, I took a lot of mental notes and analyzed a bunch of things, and then I read the other 60%. I audiobooked it because I couldn't do it anymore. And yeah, that's where all my thoughts come from. The first 40%. Imagine what I could have come up with if I read
if you actually read it and annotated it.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's just
it was a lot.
Yeah, I agree. This book was a whole lot. Ay, Dios mío, ¿qué yo hice?
Yeah, I just.
This was a trip. Honestly, this book was a trip. Discussing it with you guys, as always, is a trip, and I loved it.
I'm glad I could provide lively conversation. Oh, God. Well, it was a lively conversation. I don't even know.
That it was.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was a good time. Mica, tell us, what are we reading next month?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Anyone
God.
has any guesses?
No,
I'm scared.
Can you tell me a genre?
Give me a guess. What?
Can you give a genre? Because you can be.
She can be
it's
all over the
fantasy.
place.
It's a fantasy book.
I wasn't expecting fantasy. I don't know why.
Just tell us, what are we reading?
No guesses at all.
No, I have no guess.
Oh, that's so sad. We're reading Legend Board.
Oh.
Okay.
Hey, I've heard something about this.
I did not expect Legend
I was
Board.
not expecting that, but I'm into it.
I mean, it is fantasy and it's a cross with dark academia, so it's a good one.
I'm here for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
Me too.
That is it. Do you want the summary?
No, I do not. I want to go in blind like I always do. Literally,
This
I'm
is
so bad at
wrong.
reading summaries. I just don't read them. I just go in blind and I'm like, okay, sure.
This book has one of the highest Goodreads ratings I've seen for a book that has a lot of reviews. So.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of good things, so I'm excited.
too.
No, I've heard good things about this book, so I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, it is a series, but right now there's only one book out, so
Yeah. Actually, I saw someone on my timeline was reading this week, so.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
That is the next month.
Okay, I'm excited.
I'm super excited for it.
Yay.
So,
Anything else before we close this chapter?
before we tell people what we're reading right now?
Yeah, I think we're closing.
Yeah, I think we're good to go tell people what we're reading.
Oh yeah. Okay, I guess I'll start. I don't have a physical copy of it. But I've been reading me forgetting what it's called. What is it? I'm trying to get my Goodreads to load. It's
What is happening?
It's coming.
the number. Okay, 8 Perfect Murders. I was thinking Perfect Murders. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
By Peter Swanson.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting so far. Halfway through, or over halfway through it now, I think. It's just a thriller that centers around this guy who wrote this blog of a list of 8 perfect murders from mystery novels, and somebody starts to do all the murders on that list.
Okay.
So
Wow,
it's interesting. I'm enjoying it. But I mean, it's just a thriller. So it's I'm not. I feel there's things happening every so often, but I feel this is gonna be something that's the ending's gonna be the big.
Yeah, the big thing.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Hopefully better than the last thriller we read.
True. I liked the last three.
Me too. It was fun.
It was wild though.
You're a child.
So, Unhinged. It was very unhinged. So I am actually rereading Radio Silence.
Fine.
I started it last night because last year I started reading all of Alice Oseman's books, and I got about through half of them. So I'm now doing the second half, which is Radio Silence, I Was Born for This, and Loveless.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I Was Born for This is actually my favorite. So.
Yeah, I've seen that, so I wanted to get to it eventually. So yeah, I am reading Radio Silence right now. I'm only like 30 pages in because I started late last night and I was tired. But that's what I'm doing.
Good. I'm doing
Mica,
so
what of
many
the
things.
6 books are you reading?
I'm doing so many things. I started House of Hades, which is book 4 on the Heroes of Olympus series. I am rereading Red, White, and Royal Blue because I'm annotating it, but I'm not very far because it takes me so long. Also, I stain my edges, so I think I might just paint all of them. You know. I'm also rereading Cold Down the Hawk and also annotating it because Mr. Impossible.
Every time.
It pains me to say it.
Terrible title. It's a terrible title.
It hurts. It's coming out in 2 days, so I'm also doing that. I'm not sure if I'm actually gonna make it through it, but we'll try. And then I'm also reading, which is something kind of weird. It's a compilation of Captain America and Bucky comic books, so I'm reading that too. So.
Oh, nice.
Mica's reading like always 5 things at the same time.
Always. I'm having a bit of a weird month. I'm trying to like catch up on arcs and things. So right now I'm reading The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And then next I'm going to read The Wolf and the Woodsman.
Okay.
Ever read. And then
That's so shiny.
It is. It's very pretty and very shiny and nice. And then I think I might do some birthday rereads, which.
Oh yeah.
I need to treat myself, you know. Like,
absolutely.
So that's where I'm at right now.
I love that.
Yeah. Amazing.
All right.
That's it.
That's it. We're done.
Back next month, probably with more positive things to say, I would think. Than this
think,
one.
yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Girls can dream.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. See you next month. Bye.
Bye.